Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Geopolitics at the Land of Origins. Today, we explore a profound truth that echoes across the ages, the quiet, unbreakable power of social cohesion when a proud people faces the shadow of mighty adversaries. So welcome the ancient Persian cradle where civilization first whispered its timeless secrets of resilience, dignity, and human unity. Imagine, if you will, a nation encircled by formidable forces, its leaders openly vowing to strike at the very heart of its survival, power plants that light homes and fuel dreams, bridges that connect communities, industrial arteries that sustain a civilization. In the face of such existential threats from the United States and Israel, what unfolds is not the fracture we so often witness elsewhere, but a radiant tapestry of solidarity. In recent days of April 2026, tens of thousands of Iranian students leaving their lecture halls, workers setting aside their tools, athletes in their jerseys, professors and artists' families with children in tow traveled from near and far. Irrespective of their political views, their social backgrounds or their deepest differences, they formed living human chains around these vital sites. Hands linked in quiet defiance, they stood as one living shield, protecting not merely infrastructure, but the shared future of their ancient homeland. This is the gentle yet formidable beauty of cohesion in action. At the core of this remarkable unity lies a living historical memory etched deeply into the Iranian soul like inscriptions on Persepolis stone. For generations, Iranians have carried the scars of foreign interventions: the 1953 overthrow of a democratically chosen leader, the devastating 8-year war where external powers tilted the scales, decades of sanctions that tested the nation's endurance, and targeted actions that sought to undermine its sovereignty. These are not distant chapters in a textbook, they are woven into the collective consciousness as assaults not on one regime but on the dignity and independence of an entire people with over 2,500 years of proud civilization. When threats arise to bomb power plants or sever the nation's lifelines, the response transcends politics. It becomes a sacred defense of the shared inheritance, a reminder that external aggression does not discriminate between reformers and traditionalists, it strikes at the common heart. This memory forges an invisible bond, turning potential division into a unified front. This cohesion draws strength too from the revolutionary spirit born in 1979, a hybrid flame blending Persian national pride with a revolutionary ethos of independence and resistance to external domination. It teaches that true sovereignty belongs to the people, and that standing firm against what are perceived as arrogant powers is a shared civic duty. Even amid internal debates over economy or social policies, this framework elevates the defense of the nation above fleeting disagreements. The recent human chains exemplified this beautifully. Officials called upon all young people, athletes, artists, students and professors, regardless of taste or viewpoint, and the people answered, encircling their national assets as guardians of tomorrow. Yet to fully appreciate this strength, we must turn our gaze with compassion and honesty to lands where internal divisions have told a different story. Consider Venezuela, once rich in promise, where deep political polarization opened doors to economic collapse and external pressures that deepened the wounds. Or Libya, where the removal of central authority unleashed tribal and militia fractures, allowing outside forces to carve influence amid the chaos. Syria, a cradle of ancient wonders, saw its rich societal fabric torn by sectarian and ideological rifts, inviting proxy interventions that prolonged suffering and redrew lines of control. In these and many other cases across continents, the absence of cohesion became an unintended invitation of vulnerability that adversaries, great or small, could exploit. When a house stands divided, even the mightiest cannot easily conquer from without, the foundations weaken from within. How perilous this division truly is, the great thinkers of our world have warned with eloquence and sorrow. The revered Nigerian author Chinua Achebe, in his masterpiece Things Fall Apart, offered a haunting insight. The clever outsider has put a knife on the things that held us together and we have fallen apart. What a profound tragedy when that knife finds its mark, when ethnic, ideological, or political cleavages sever the bonds of common purpose. Abraham Lincoln, with the wisdom forged in his own nation's trial, declared timelessly, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." And from the African continent, voices of liberation have risen like beacons. Kwame Nkrumah urged, "Divided we are weak, united, Africa could become one of the greatest forces for good in the world." The martyred Patrice Lumumba warned of divisions exploited to ensure the suicide of a people, while the fiery yet hopeful Professor Patrick Lumumba reminds us still, unity is not a luxury but our salvation. We must learn to act as one. In Iran's case, these dangers have been held at bay by a resilient national identity, a Persian core enriched by diverse threads, yet bound by shared language, history, and a Shia-inspired narrative of justice and resistance. Minorities and majorities alike find common ground when the outsider threatens the whole. Internal critiques persist as they should in any vibrant society, yet they yield when sovereignty itself is at stake. The human chains of 2026 were not born of blind uniformity, but of a mature choice. Difference is subordinated to the higher calling of preserving the nation's dignity and future generations. Here, then, lies the climax of this living lesson. A middle power facing the combined weight of superpowers and advanced military threats demonstrates that social cohesion is the ultimate strategic armor. While empires wield sanctions, drones, and rhetoric of destruction, a united people wield the quiet power of solidarity. Iran does not claim perfection, it claims resilience. In linking arms around bridges in Dezful or power plants in Bushehr and beyond, Iranians showed the world that when the gate is threatened, a people with deep historical roots can close ranks with grace and determination. This is strength not measured in missiles alone, but in the human spirit's capacity to transcend fracture. And so as we reflect on this inspiring chapter, let us carry forward its gentle wisdom. Social cohesion is the shield that allows even a middle power to stand tall before giants. It transforms vulnerability into resolve, division into dignity. In a world too often torn by polarization, Iran's example whispers an ancient Persian truth: unity is the dawn that outlasts the darkest threats. May we all in our own lands and lives, nurture those bonds that hold us together, for in them rests the power to face any storm, to protect our shared futures and to build a more resilient humanity. Let this be our shared inspiration. Stand united, rise together, and let no knife ever sever what truly binds us.